Hello everyone, this is Dr. Kishore Shetty from AJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. Dear friends, today let us discuss about biomedical waste. We are discussing about environmental pollution under that biomedical waste. Biomedical waste means any solid or liquid waste which is generated during the diagnosis, treatment or immunization of human beings or animals or in research activities or testing of biologicals. Biomedical waste possess hazard due to two principal reasons, mainly toxicity and infectivity. Let us see what are the sources of biomedical waste. Sources mainly from hospitals. Then we have nursing homes. Then medical laboratories. It is also coming out from blood banks, then mortuaries, then from medical research centers and biotechnology institutions and biotechnology production units, from animal houses, then such a waste can also be generated at home if health care is being provided to a patient. This biological waste includes human anatomical waste like tissues. It includes biological waste mainly includes tissues, then organs and body parts. It also includes animal waste generated during research from veterinary hospitals, microbiology and biotechnology waste. It also includes hypodermic needles, then syringes, then bandages, then plastics, materials contaminated with blood, tube and catheters, liquid waste from any of the infected areas, etc. Now let us see the steps involved in biomedical waste management. Here the steps like segregation, collection and storage, transportation, treatment and disposal. First let us see segregation. It is the important step in biomedical waste management. Here the waste materials are segregated according to their type. So segregation according to the type and categorized under different category based on Central Pollution Board schedule. So as per the pollution board schedule or instructions or guidelines, so we need to segregate this biomedical waste. And the second main important step here is collection and storage. Collection and storage of biomedical waste. Here, untreated biomedical waste shall not be kept stored beyond a period of 48 hours. So untreated biomedical waste should be disposed within 48 hours. The waste may be temporarily stored at the central storage area of the hospital, and from there it may be sent in bulk to the site of final disposal. So collection and storage. So within 48 hours, within 48 hours, disposal, that is very important. Within 48 hours, disposal has to be done. And third important steps involved is transportation of biomedical waste. So vehicles used for transportation of biomedical waste must have biohazard symbol. It is very important. Biohazard symbol. And this vehicle should not be used for any other purpose. That is the very important aspect. The vehicle which is used for the transportation of biomedical waste should not be used for any other purpose. And the fourth important step is treatment and disposal. Treatment and disposal of biomedical waste. Treatment and disposal of biomedical waste. The treatment and disposal method mainly has a different steps, mainly 6 steps. The first one is called incineration. Now here high temperature dry oxidation process. Now this is high temperature oxidation process. High temperature oxidation process, actually, which reduces organic and combustible waste to inorganic incombustible matter. So organic to inorganic, conversion of organic to inorganic. So organic means combustible, inorganic incombustible matter. That is called incineration. Usually used for the waste that cannot be reused, recycled, or disposed of in landfill site. The incinerator should be installed and made operational as per the specification under the Biomedical Waste Rule 1998. If the conditions of combustion are not controlled, toxic carbon monoxide will be produced. Now the second method under treatment and disposal is deep burial. Category 1 and 2, mainly human anatomical waste and animal waste. Category 1, human anatomical waste. Category 2, animal waste, were only in cities having less than 5 lakh population and rural area. So deep burial is done only where the human population is less than 5 lakhs. The third method is autoclave and microwave treatment. An autoclave is in essence a large pressure, in a large pressure cooker that uses high temperatures and steam to deeply penetrate all materials and kill any microorganisms. Once again, high pressure treatment, high temperature treatment to kill all the materials, microorganisms. Standards for the autoclaving and microwaving are mentioned in the biomedical waste management rule. Next, we have the chemical treatment. It is used to deactivate liquid waste and to some non-liquid infections waste. It is designed to decontaminate or to deactivate certain waste on site rather than packaging and sending them to separate facility. This method is suitable for treating liquid waste such as blood, urine and hospital sewage. Most chemical processes are water intensive and require neutralizing agents So here neutralizing agents or chemical treatment is done. Next we have the process called shredding. The plastic, mainly the bottles, mainly the plastics are treated here. Plastics, mainly bottles, sets, syringes and catheters, etc. They are sharp needles, blades, etc. Should be shredded, but only after chemical treatment or microwaving autoclave treatment. So needle destroyers can be used for the disposal of needles directly without chemical treatment. And final method we have the land disposal or secured or sanitary landfill method. Now the waste, biological waste treatment can be treated and disposed by these methods. The last one is the incinerator ash, discarded medicines, cytotoxic substances and solid chemical waste should be treated by this option. And finally it is buried. So the landfill, sanitary landfill method. Now this is about the steps involved in biomedical waste management, mainly segregation based on the type, collection and storage and transportation, and finally the treatment. So treatment can be done by the process of incineration and deburial, autoclave and microwave treatment, chemical treatment, shredding, and finally we have land disposal methods. Dear friends, let us continue our discussion on environmental pollution. Now let us discuss about e-waste. What are the sources of e-waste, constituent materials present in e-waste, and problems created by e-waste, and how we can control or manage this e-waste. When it comes to definition, e-waste refers to the generation of waste from the engineering world which is dominated by the use of electronics or electrical devices and equipments, or in otherwise electronic equipments products connects with power plug and batteries which have become out of date due to the technological change, change in fashion, change in style and change in status, and nearing the end of their useful life. So that is called e-waste. Electronic equipments which are outdated. So waste generated from products used for data processing, such as we have computers, then we have computer devices like monitors, then we have speakers, then keyboards, printers, etc. Electronic devices used for entertainment like TV, DVD, CD players, and equipment or devices used for communication like phones, landline phone, fax, etc. Household equipments like vacuum cleaner, microwave ovens, washing machine, air conditioners, etc. Audio visual components, VCR, stereo equipments, etc. All these forms e-waste. Now constituent materials of e-waste. What is the constituent? What is the constituent of e-waste? E-waste generally contains various elements and substances, most of which can be suitably recovered, such as it contains precious metals like gold, gold or platinum or silver or palladium, etc. Useful metals like copper, aluminum are present in e-waste materials. It is also contains hazardous metals like mercury and lead and some radioactive isotopes. Toxic substances present in e-waste like toxic compounds present like dioxins, then polychlorinated biphenyls, then it contains plastics like high impact polystyrene, then it also contains acrylonitrile butadiene styrenes, what we call it as ABS, then polycarbonates PC, then polyphenylene oxides, etc. Now these are the plastic components. Polymers, long chain compounds, plastics, then toxins, hazardous, then it also contains metals. Now these are the main constituents of e-waste materials. It also contains glass materials like cathode ray tube made up of glass such as silicates. It contains SiO, calcium oxide and sodium oxide. Now let us see what are the problems associated with the e-waste. The disposal of e-waste is a huge issue globally because e-waste contains toxins or toxic metals like mercury. It is a major problem. It also contains beryllium, then lead, cadmium, chromium, which produce toxins. They are the sources of carcinogens like brominated flame. So brominated flame is produced during burning of e-waste. It can be carcinogenic. Polychlorinated biphenyl, PCBs, dioxins, etc. They are all carcinogenic in nature. It can induce cancer. It can cause cancerous cells. They cause several health problems to all those who are directly involved with e-waste processing, as they contain radioactive isotopes. Health problems caused due to the presence of these radioactive isotopes. They pose both occupational and environmental threats. Now these are the problems associated with the e-waste. Dear friends, now let us see how we can manage e-waste. Here the main important step is recycling. The process involves diversion of electronic waste from energy intensive downcycling process, where equipment is converted back to a raw material form. This diversion is achieved through reuse and refurbishing. Now these are the two methods. One is reuse and refurbishing. You might have seen in Amazon refurbished cell phones and electronic goods that you can reuse it. Recycling of e-waste can be broadly further classified like dis and disassembling and assembling, selective deassembly, targeting by singling out hazardous or valuable components for specific treatments. Then it also includes upgrading the e-waste using mechanical processing or metallurgical processing to upgrade desirable material content. That means preparing materials for refining processes. Then third one we have refining. Here the recovered materials are melted or dissolved, finally separated by using metallurgical and chemical techniques, including pyrometallurgical processes. Pyro means high temperature. Pyrometallurgical and hydrometallurgical processing. Now recycling of printed circuit boards from e-waste. Now let us see what is the steps involved. Recycling of PCB, printed circuit board, from e-waste. So we use a large amount of printed circuit boards while discussing electroless plating of copper. We have seen how the printed circuit board is made, how the electroless plating technique is used for manufacture of printed circuit boards. Cryogenic decomposition is also considered for printed circuit board recycling. Around 60 million PCBs are produced around the world each year. Each circuit board has a metal content up to 30%. So in PCB, metal content is 30%. Metal content is 30% by weight. 30% by weight. So considerable amount of metal is present in PCB. Circuit boards contain, so here metals present in printed circuit board like gold, then silver, platinum, and base metals such as copper. Base metal copper or iron or aluminum. Many of the process used to recover non-precious metals are based on mechanical and pyrometallurgical and hydrometallurgical techniques. So different techniques we can use, and as a result we can recycle the e-waste. So e-waste management mainly depends upon recycling steps. So how best we can recycle it or refurbish it or reuse it, disassembling and assembling and refining using at high temperature. And under e-waste management, recycling of printed circuit board plays very important role. It contains metal components. 30% by weight metals are present in PCB. Metals present like gold, silver or platinum, and the base metal used is copper, iron or aluminum. So if we can separate these metals from these printed circuit boards, that metals we can profitably reuse it for further modification and usage. This is about e-waste. Electronic equipments, the products that we use nowadays, once it becomes outdated because of the style, because of the technological advancement, then we throw it. That waste becomes e-waste. So here e-waste contains, it may be computers or speakers, or it may be mouse, or any electronic equipments, tools, vacuum cleaner, washing machine, etc. Now it contains some metals as the constituent, and it also contains hazardous compounds like mercury, lead, and radioactive isotopes. It also contains some toxins and major polymers in the form of plastics and glass components, and problems associated mainly it containing toxic chemicals, hazardous chemicals, or metallic components, and mainly it produces brominated flame, and it becomes carcinogenic, and radioactive isotopes, it can lead to health problems. E-waste management, that we discussed in detail, mainly recycling, so reuse or refurbishing of e-waste. And the important aspect here is recycling of printed circuit board from e-waste, that contains a major 30% of metals by weight, so that we can separate it. Dear friends, this is about e-waste and its sources and management. Dear friends, thank you very much for watching my video on environmental pollution. We discussed today about biomedical waste and e-waste. Thank you very much for patiently listening to the lecture. Thank you.